Read the 38-year history of the Republic of China in one sitting. In 1911, the Xinhai Revolution broke out. The Revolutionary Party launched an armed banner to overthrow the Qing government. At the same time, provinces across the country have responded to the flag and declared independence from the Qing government. January 1, 1912, Sun Yat-sen announced in Nanjing establishment of the Provisional Government of the Republic of China. The provinces across the country elected Sun Yat-sen as the interim president. On February 12th, Yuan Shikai forced Puyi to abdicate. So far, the feudal address that lasted for more than 2,000 years ended. In the same year, Sun Yat-sen gave way to Yuan Shikai. Yuan Shikai officially became the president. Yuan Shikai came to power in an attempt to proclaim himself emperor, ordered the dissolution of the Kuomintang, disqualification of Kuomintang members, and forced dissolution of Congress. Same year, the establishment of the Beiyang warlord regime led by Yuan Shikai. Then it stipulated that the president could be re-elected without limit. Presidential successors are nominated by the outgoing president. March 1913, Song Jiaoren was invited by Yuan Shikai as the party leader, heading to Shanghai for Congress. Song Jiaoren was assassinated at Shanghai railway station. In July, Li Lijian was called upon by Sun Yat-sen. Declare independence in Jiangxi, Dingao grassland. The Southern revolutionaries responded. Launch a second revolution. In September, under the suppression of Yuan Shikai, the second revolution was declared a failure. Sun Yat-sen Huang Xingbilei's army fled to Japan. July 8, 1914, Sun Yat-sen organized the Chinese Revolutionary Party in Tokyo. It was later reorganized into the Chinese Kuomintang. July 28th of the same year, the First World War broke out. January 18, 1915, Japan submitted 21 articles to Yuan Shikai. The requirements of Article 21. It seriously undermines China's sovereignty. Attempt to encroach on China. On January 26th, the report exposed the inside story of 21 negotiations. It aroused strong repercussions at home. Tens of thousands of patriots in Shanghai. They all opposed Japan's proposal of 21 articles against China, driven the domestic anti-Japanese upsurge, and boycott Japanese goods. On May 9th, Yuan Shikai achieved the dream of an emperor, secretly signed with Japan 21 treaties that humiliated the country. The history of the 5 or 9 national humiliation. September 15th, Shunduksu. Li Dezhou founded New Youth in Shanghai. It awakened a generation of young people. Is a Chinese intellectual, setting off a trend of ideological emancipation in society. December 12th, Yuan Shikai announced the restoration of the address. Ascend the throne. Emperor Hongxin in history. December 25th, Tang Jiao Cai, Li Lijian and others declared independence in Yunnan and sent troops to ask for money. Yuan Shikai's army was defeated in this battle. Then the southern provinces declared their independence. February 18, 1916, the Chinese Revolutionary Party failed in the Hubei uprising. March 10th, Feng Guozhan and other 5 people jointly sent power to Yuan Shikai. Chase's abdication. Cancel address. On March 23rd, Yuan Shikai called to ask Kai to stop. Yuan Shikai was forced to announce the cancellation of the address. Restored republicanism. On June 6th, Yuan Shikai became angry, died of uremia. China began to enter the era of warlord separatism. 1916 to 1917. Chinese President Liu Wanhong and Premier Duan Cherry launch an all-out fight. The dispute over the history of Fuyuan. June 14, 1917. Zhang Zun exploits the contradiction between Liu Wanhong and Duan Cherry. He led 5,000 troops to Beijing to support Puyi. After Wu Yi ascended the throne, he was opposed by the whole country. Guard for only 12 days. It ended in failure. July 1917. The Anhui warlord Duan Jirui controls the Beijing government, refused to reinstate the National Assembly of the Republic of China and the Provisional Convention. Sun Yat-sen united Guangxi, warlords in western Yunnan and other southwestern regions, launched a law protection movement in Guangzhou to crusade against Duan Cherry. In the same year, Duan Cherry, suppressing the Southwest law protection movement with northern force, start the Second Civil War. In 1918, Sun Yat-sen was ostracized by her warlords. The first fogboard campaign ended in failure. November of the same year, the end of the First World War. January 18, 1919, Paris River venue decision. Transfer German privileges in Shandong to Japan. On May 4th, the May 4th movement broke out. The general public, citizens, business people, and others marched through demonstrations. Petition for strike. Violence against the government takes many forms. Conduct a patriotic movement, also known as May 4th Wind and Thunder. Since July 14, 1920, Western Anhui warlords led by Duan Cherry and Wu Peifu, direct warlords led by Cao Kun, to seize control of the Beijing government. Paper Bowl Wars. As a result, direct and Fenghuang warlords, cooperation to defeat the Western Anhui warlords, jointly acquire power in Beijing. Duan Cherry steps down. In the same year, Chen Dexu, Li Dezhao and Zhang Shu, Zhang Gutao and Dong Biwu, Chen Tanchu Mao Zedong, Hishu Wang Jinmai, Deng Enming and others were successively in Wuhan. Changsha Guangzhou forms a communist group. March 13, 1921. Russia ignored China's opposition. The Russian alliance treaty was strengthened with Mongolia. Mongolia announces its secession from China. On May 5th, Sun Yat-sen was in Guangzhou, president of the Republic of China. At the same time, he ordered a crusade against the warlord Du Longting. On June 26th, the Japanese occupied Wuzhou. On July 23rd, Mao Zedong, Dong Biwu Zhang Gotao, Chen Desu, and others held a major meeting of the Communist Party of China. The Communist Party of China was officially born. April 29, 1922. The first direct war broke out. Take Cao Kun and Wu Peifu, Sun Xuanfang's direct warlords, and the Fenghuan warlords led by Jiang Zuolin. Jiang Zuolin lost. Straight win. On June 16, Chen Jiangming defected, led more than 4,000 men to besiege the presidential palace, the residence of Pao Hong Sun Yat-sen. Sun Yat-sen flees Guangzhou. February 7, 1923. The Communist Party leads the first recognized movement. Strike climax. It was suppressed by direct warlords without admiration. 52 people were sacrificed before and after. More than 300 people were injured. The strike ended in failure, also known as a second-degree tragedy. June 16, 1924. Sun Yat-sen in the Communist Party of China, with the help of the Soviet Union, Huangpu in the eastern suburbs of Guangzhou, establishment of the military academy, historically known as Whampoa Military Academy. September to October, the Second Direct War broke out. Immediate warlords fiasco. The Beiyan government fell into the hands of Fenghuang warlords. January 7, 1925. Guangdong Revolutionary Government Eastern Expedition, Chen Jiangming. Defeat Chen Jiangming's Eastern Army. Control the Dongxiang area. Then the national government was established in Guangzhou and organized the army into the National Revolutionary Army. On March 12, Sun Yat-sen was in Beijing. There was a revolution on the eve of everything. Not yet successful. Comrades still need to work hard. On May 15th, Shanghai Nishang Dengfa Workers' Company, Communist Party member Jiyu Zhanghong, leading the masses to compare with capitalists. Japanese capital hometown killing. Jiyu Zhanghong, open fire and massacre of unarmed people. 13 people were killed. Seriously injured dozens of people. More than 150 people were arrested. Created the Wusa massacre that shocked China and foreign countries. Imperialist slaughter. Ignite the long-expected Chinese people. Hatred and anger against imperialist aggression. From June 1st, the whole city of Shanghai began a massive the movement against imperialism. Students and workers hold demonstrations. Strike, strike, strike from June 1st to 10th. The imperialists fired again and again. Killed and wounded dozens of people. Ying Meiyi, the Marine Corps and the military circles of France and other countries, all assure suppression. Shanghai people, not afraid of imperialist repression by force. More than 200,000 workers went on strike. 50,000 students strike. Even the Chinese patrollers hired by the concession. The call has been answered. Tyrannical party. The Wusa movement quickly swept across the country, from worker to student, merchant citizen, farmers and other social strata, and developed from Shanghai to all over the country. all over the country shouting down with imperialism, abolition of unequal treaties, roar of revenge for the dead. Chinese people struggle against low income, receive the International Revolutionary Organization, overseas Chinese, and the broad sympathy and support of the people of all countries. A 500,000 demonstration was held in Moscow. 5 major movements of the Chinese people, and donate to Chinese workers all over the world. Overseas Chinese from nearly 100 countries and regions, holding rallies and launching fundraisers. Student Wusa movement. In the UK and Japan, the capitalists successively agreed, recognize that the Chinese government has issued trade union regulations. Unions organized for striking workers in life, give considerable help. Juojia Company must not be opened for no reason, except for workers and other conditions. Strike in various industries. Workers resumed work one after another from the end of August to early September. The Wusa movement formed a nationwide anti-land movement. Patriotic movement climax. January 11, 1926. Jiang Zuolin declared independence in 3 northeastern provinces. 1926 to 1927. The Kuomintang seeks to overthrow imperialism, overthrow warlord rule. Collaboration with the Communist Party of China, leading the National Revolutionary Army back to the Northern Expedition. Less than half a year after the Northern Expedition began, from the Pearl River to the Yangtze River, Chiang Kai-shek wiped out Wu Peifu. Sun Xuanfang dealt a heavy blow to the army of the warlord Jiang Zuolin. During this period, the Northern Expedition Army grew rapidly, from 100,000 to over 300,000. April 12, 1927, the Kuomintang rightists led by Chiang Kai-shek launched against the Kuomintang left and the Communist Party's armed coup. Massacre of Communist Party members and Kuomintang leftists and the revolutionary masses. The history of the 412 counter-revolutionary coup on July 15th. The Wuhan national government, headed by Wang Jingwei, to Communist Party members and revolutionary masses in Wuhan, make a mass arrest. History of the Holocaust. The July 15th counter-revolutionary coup. So far, the first cooperative revolution of the Kuomintang and the Communist Party failed. August 1, 1927. In Zhou Enlai, Heilong Leaf Boat, under the leadership of Zhu Lu Bacheng and others, launched the Nanchang Uprising. Armed resistance, the first shot of the Kuomintang reactionaries, revealed the independent leadership of the Communist Party of China. Armed struggle, and the prelude to the creation of a revolutionary army. September 9th, Mao Zedong led the Autumn Harvest Uprising at the Hong Kong border. Subsequently, Communist Party members in various provinces across the country launched uprisings one after another. In 1928, the Japanese demanded railway rights from Jiang Zuolin, but he still has hundreds of thousands of troops in his hands, refused to give in. So the Japanese Kuomintang army decided, on Jiang Zuolin's way back to northeast China, remove this eyesore. June 4th at 5:30 a.m., Jiang Zuolin's special train passed through Jinfeng, 3 bridges at the intersection of the South Manchuria Railway. The train was destroyed by the Japanese Kuomintang army's embedded explosives. Jiang Zuolin was seriously injured by the explosion. Jiang Zuolin died the same day after being sent back to Shenyang. History known as Huanputun Incident. May 10, 1930. Chiang Kai-shek and Yan Shishan, Feng Yuxiang and Li Zongren are waiting in Henan, Shandong. A new warlord scuffle in Anhui and other provinces. It ended in Chiang Kai-shek's victory. The history of the Central Plains War. September 18, 1931. Japanese Kuomintang Army in northeast China. Sudden attack on Shenyang. Occupy the northeast by force. The September 18th incident broke out. The anti-Japanese war officially began. Since then, Japan has successively occupied the 3 northeastern provinces. The entire northeast fell. Japan is in northeast China. Established a puppet regime of Manchukuo. Began with the people of northeast China. 14 years of slavery and colonial rule. Suffering more than 30 million compatriots in the northeast. January 28, 1932. Japanese raid on Zhebei, Shanghai, Zhangguangdai. Tsai Ding-kai led the 19th Route Army to fight bravely. Give the Japanese a head-on attack. Forced the Japanese to change their coach 4 times. Nearly 10,000 Japanese troops will be injured. Historical 128th incident. January 3, 1933. The Japanese invaded Shanhaiguan in China. September 25th. Chiang Kai-shek launched the Fifth Siege and Suppression Campaign against the Soviet Union. October 10, 1934. The main force of the Central Red Army, to break free from the siege of the Kuomintang Army, make a strategic shift. The Chinese Red Army begins the 25,000-mile-long march. December 9, 1935. Beiping patriotic students and workers. More than 30,000 farmers held a demonstration, opposing North China's autonomy. Down with Japanese imperialism. Stop the Civil War. Unanimous external slogan. Set off a new upsurge in the national anti-Japanese and national salvation movement. History of the 129 movement. In the same year, the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee, an expanded meeting was held in Zunyi, established Mao Zedong's leadership. October 1936. The three main armies of the Red Army meet in Huining, Gansu. The long march is over. December 12. Zhang Zuliang. Yang Husing is in danger of saving the nation. Execute martial law against Chiang Kai-shek and Lin Tong. Demand that Chiang Kai-shek stop the Civil War. Move to anti-Japanese. December 25th, please. With the efforts of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China and Zhou Enlai and others, Chiang Kai-shek accepts the cessation of the Civil War. Union against Japan. Xi'an Incident. July 7, 1937. The Japanese attacked Wanping City and Lugu Bridge, historically known as the Lugu Bridge Incident. The National Anti-Japanese War broke out. July 29, Beiping. Tianjin fell successively. August 13th. The Japanese army launched a large-scale offensive in Shanghai. China and Japan joined forces 1 million battle. The battle lasted for 3 months. Smash Japan. The plan to destroy China in 3 months. The Battle of Songhu in history. On September 25th, Lin Biao commanded the 115th Division of the 8th Route Army. In the past, the parallel government, the Japanese army wiped out more than 1,000 enemy troops. A large amount of military supplies were seized. Historical parallel pass victory. On December 13th, Nanjing, the capital of the nationalist government, fell. The Japanese invaded Nanjing. Here we go. The most inhumane massacre in human history, and adultery and arson, robbery and other bloody atrocities. A large number of civilians and prisoners of war were killed by the Japanese army. Countless families are mentally broken. A third of the buildings in Nanjing were burned down. The Nanjing massacre killed more than 300,000. The 16th of March to the 15th of April, 1938. Li Zongren commanded the Chinese army in Xiaozhuang, Shandong. The Japanese army that went deep into the Lone Army, bloodshed, and outside it. Break the Japanese. Days of fierce fighting. Close the Japanese 10,000. The Japanese are lost. Escape and embarrassment. The history of Taizhuang catastrophe. It dealt a heavy blow to the arrogance of the Japanese invaders. On May 10th, Xiamen fell. On May 14th, Hefei. On May 19th, Shuzhou fell. On June 11th, the Battle of Wuhan broke out. The Chinese army repelled the Japanese attack many times, destroyed 257,000 Japanese. It greatly consumed the vitality of the Japanese army. After this, China's war of resistance against Japanese aggression enters a stage of strategic stalemate. On June 12th, Anqing fell. On October 21st, Guangzhou fell. October 10th, the Northeast Anti-Japanese Allied Forces led by Leng Yun, 8 female soldiers, were running out of ammunition. Reluctant to be a prisoner, he chose to throw himself into the river. The 8 women threw themselves into the river. On October 24th, Chiang Kai-shek ordered the abandonment of Wuhan. Fall of Wuhan. On December 29th, Wang Jingwei publicly defected to the enemy for treason. November 7, 1939. The Japanese army carried out a winter sweep in the Jinshebi border region. Yang Chenggu commanded the troops to ambush the Japanese in Wangchuling. This battle killed the Japanese commander, Lieutenant General Abu Maiksu. August 20, 1940. The 8th Route Army is behind enemy lines in North China. Launch a massive attack. 105 regiments participated in the battle. About 200,000 people. destroyed Japanese traffic and bases. The history of the Hundred Regiments War. December 7, 1941. Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. The Pacific War broke out. World War II broke out in full swing. On December 23rd, the Chinese Expeditionary Force officially went to sleep, launched the Burma Road Operation, completed the task of opening up the Burma Highway. May 1, 1942, the Japanese began a major sweep of Wuyi in North China, implement the three-light policy, burn and kill, steal. In the same year, a severe famine broke out in Hunan. The famine has spread to 110 counties across the province, affected 30 million people. 3 million starved to death. September 1939 to 1942. The Chinese Army and the Japanese invaders in Changsha went into 3 large-scale intense offensive and defensive battles, finally winning a great victory with the Tianyu tactics of the Chinese Army. Destroy more than 110,000 Japanese. It dealt a heavy blow to the Japanese invaders, smashed Japan and destroyed the main force of the Chinese Army. The strategic goal of fighting and breaking the air. It inspired the confidence of the people of the whole country in the victory of the anti-Japanese war, historically known as the Battle of Changsha. October 4, 1944. The Japanese occupied Fuzhou. The second fall of Fuzhou was on October 28. The Japanese surrounded Guilin, directly approaching Liuzhou. On November 11th, Japan launched the so-called Battle of Tulip Laurel at Battle No. 1. Chinese casualties 600,000 to 700,000. Loss of 4 provincial capitals and 146 cities. Zombie land is more than 200,000 square kilometers. 60 million people were trapped under the iron hooves of the Japanese army. January 1945. The Japanese captured the Yubei Qiang. Open up Yuhan Road. On March 9th, the U.S. bombed Tokyo, Japan. On April 2nd, the U.S. military began operations in Japan, carry out a massive bombing. On April 9th, the Japanese army was divided into 5 divisions, a brigade of about 80,000 men, with the cooperation of more than 130 aircraft, respectively by Shinming. Shoyan Yang launched an attack on Shinxi. The Battle of Xiangxi begins. On May 17th, the 80th Division of the Chinese Army attacked the Japanese stronghold at Hugong Mountain in Fuzhou. On May 18th, the Japanese Army independently merged into the 62nd Brigade. All evacuated from Fuzhou. The Chinese Army recaptured Fuzhou for the second time. On May 19th, the 8th Division of the Chinese Army, Shuo Zunmawei Town and Changel County. May 22nd, the 80th Division of the Chinese Army recaptures Lianjiang County. On May 27th, the 159th Division of the Chinese Army recaptured Nanning. June 7th, Chinese government troops launch counterattack in western Hunan. Paine prisoned 24,000 Japanese invaders. All the areas captured by the Japanese army were recaptured. The Battle of Xiangxi has ended with the Japanese defeat. On June 29th, the 91st Division of the Chinese Army recaptured Liuzhou. On July 16th, the Chinese Army recaptured Yang Hunan. On July 17th, the Chinese Army captured Ganzhou. On July 24th, the Chinese Army captured Zhenengdouan. July 28th, the third side of the Chinese Army conquered Guilin. On August 2nd, the Chinese Army recaptured Linchuan, Guangzhou, Hunan Shening, Jiangxi Shangao. On August 6th, the United States was in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan, dropped atomic bombs one after another. On August 15th, the Japanese fascists announced their unconditional surrender. On November 11th, China recaptured Taiwan. June 26, 1946. Chiang Kai-shek sabotaged both the Kuomintang and the Communist Party. Signed armistice. The Kuomintang launched a full-scale civil war. The People's Liberation War begins. July 13th to August 31st. Chiang Kai-shek commanded 120,000 nationalists. Attack on the Central Soviet liberated areas. Central China Field Army Commander Express. 7 consecutive operations were conducted. 7 wars and 7 sections. To annihilate a reorganized division of the Kuomintang Army. 6 donkeys and 5 traffic police brigades. Total 50,000. In 1947, Hu Zongnan led 250,000 to capture Yan'an. the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China decided to give up Yan'an. Right enemy deep. Thereafter, the People's Army uses mushroom tactics within 40 days. Fight 3 annihilation battles in a row. Destroy more than 15,000 enemy. Stabilize northern Shanxi. September 12 to November 2, 1948, Northeast Field War. At the cost 69,000 casualties. Destroy the army 472,000. Liberated the entire Northeast. November 6, 1948 to January 10, 1949. The Central Plains Field Army and the East China Field Army cooperate in 3 stages, at the cost of more than 100,000 casualties. Destroy and capture more than 550,000 National Army. Liberated large tracts of land north of the Yangtze River. November 29, 1948 to January 31, 1949. At the cost of 39,000 casualties. The annihilation and reorganization of the Kuomintang Army as a strategic group. More than 520,000. The People's Liberation Army in the Liaoshen Campaign. Battle of Weihai. Battle of Pingzhen. These 3 major battles wipe out more than 1.54 million Kuomintang troops. Basically liberated the entire territory of North China. On April 20th, the People's Liberation Army launched the Battle of Crossing the River. Liberated Nanjing. The complete destruction of Kuomintang rule. January 31st, 1949. Peaceful liberation of Beiping. October 1st, 1949 at 3 p.m. New China was proclaimed. So far, the 38-year history of the Republic of China has ended.